How we doing? Coming off the bye week, it was, I think, a productive bye week. We'll see how our guys respond. We gave them some time off this weekend, so hopefully come back both physically and mentally fresh. Getting ready for the game. Obviously, a fun game, great game to be a part of. Florida Georgia is always such a huge game, and you look at it this year, right? We have the College Game Day, SEC Nation there. You get the CBS National Game of the Week. So it's going to be pretty special. I know it's a lot of fun. For me, it's one of the great scenes in all of college football. You come over the Hart Bridge, and you come into Jacksonville right there, and it's all the tailgating, just a sea of people. The stadium split down the middle is pretty exciting and a lot of fun to be a part of. So tough challenge for our guys, though. Georgia's an excellent football team. Very balanced football team offensively. They run the ball very effectively. They got a veteran offensive line. They got playmakers at running back that can run for power and speed and hit the explosive home runs. Great receivers in the perimeter, and a quarterback does a great job of managing the game, getting them in the right plays, getting the ball. Really good passer, getting the ball out to the receivers out on the edge, and so they can put up a lot of points with a lot of playmakers. And defensively, going against Kirby, a great defensive coach. Their staff puts guys in position to make plays. They got some veteran guys. They're pretty stout from the front all the way to the back across the board. And then you get in the kicking game. They got explosive returners and great specialists kicking the ball. So, you see why most people, viewed them as one of the top two teams in the country this season. And, because the depth they have and from top to bottom, the type of roster they have. So be a great challenge for our guys coming in. But this is why you want to come to Florida and be a part of this game and be a part of these rivalries and, and play on the biggest of stages.
Hey, Dan, obviously there's a fine line when you get a bye week of not ramping it down too much because your guys have been going on a roll. But what do you think you guys got out of it as far as getting your legs back and those kind of things?
Well, we'll see. I want to see how they respond today to that, because we did give them a bunch of time. I don't want us to come out and be kind of take a while to get going. Hopefully they come out kind of refreshed, ready to go attack the day. And that's kind of why we did it. But I think, overall we were able to work on some things, really work on some fundamental things and some technique things and, get a bunch of guys reps that maybe haven't got as many game reps during the season so that we continue to build our depth and we have more guys ready to go play in the game and see if that works out. You know what I mean? Every year you get asked the question, well, is the bye help or not help? I don't know, I'll tell you on Saturday at about 7:15.
Dan, your running game seems to have improved over the course of the year. How did that come about exactly, you think?
Well, I think it's just guys understanding the scheme a little bit better. Both the backs, the quarterbacks, understanding what plays to get us into and how to check us into the right plays. I think for coaches, just finding what our guys do well, making sure we're putting them in a position to be successful. But most important, I think it's the line being comfortable with the schemes that we're blocking and the backs being comfortable with how the plays are supposed to hit.
And Dan, how important is it to eliminate the explosive plays on defense?
Well, it's huge. I mean, I think in this league, it's hard to put together, 12, 15 play drives and come away with points, So if explosive plays usually lead to points. And, it's a big thing we look at on both sides of the ball. If you look and we hit a bunch of explosive plays, we probably were able to put some points on the board. If we did not give up explosive plays, we probably held them to a low-scoring output. And I think that is, because the quality of defense is you play top teams. To sit there and say, hey, our goal, our plan is to drive it 16 plays every time we have the ball. That's great, but it's probably unrealistic with the type of teams that play in this league.
I assume you and the staff were able to get away a little bit yourselves.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Enjoyed some family time.
But how much are you able to really kind of turn it off, especially with a game like this?
I've gotten a lot better at it. Oh, yeah. I mean, I enjoyed time with the family. with my wife and kids and having dinner with the family. I've learned through the years to be able to kind of to turn it off and be able to become a dad every once in a while too.
I think you've won 6 of your last 7 coming off a bye. How do you explain your success? I mean, did you learn how to do that there too?
Well, I don't know. Maybe our bye schedule is pretty good, how we do things. So
That is part of it.
I think that, there is part of it of how you set up the schedule for the players, and to, I probably want to look at some of those matchups, and maybe sometimes we had a good matchup coming off the bye too. But but I think it's something that we've done. This is a similar schedule that we've used in the past with the players, and and it's worked.
Justin Fields, what did you see him? Obviously he was recruited by everybody. What did you see of him? Do you expect to see him, especially coming off a bye week?
Well, I'm sure we'll see him. He's played in a bunch of the games this year, and and they've used him primarily as a runner. In that aspect, but coming off a bye week, sometimes you have the opportunity to create some new wrinkles within your scheme, within your system, and so we'll see. If we get more of him in the game, obviously it's a little different player than Fromm in what he does with his skill set. Obviously, like I said, being a little bit of a runner and how they utilize him, but. We got to be ready for both of them.
Hey, Dan, a lot of people were kind of down on Georgia's defense and against the run against LSU in that game. What's kind of been your take on that? It seemed like they are statistically at least down from where they were last year in that department.
Well, they had a bunch of really good players too on that defense last year. Several of them went on to the NFL, and they had a very veteran team last year, but. I still think they're an excellent run defense. And so I don't view it of them being down. I think they were LSU had some explosive runs in the game, and I don't know that it was just them. They didn't just run the ball at will on them. They had hit some explosive runs to put up numbers of backs breaking tackles and making some pretty good runs and some pretty good individual efforts.
Hey, Dan, I know you said each week y'all practice several trick plays. How much do you practice defending them as well? Georgia tried that fake field goal.
Yeah, we talk about them with the defense, and it's it becomes similar. Like, we'll look and I'll show different trick plays or things we've used in the past. I think our defense, they do a good job of keeping library of our stuff, of things that we do that people might try to steal from us. Like other teams are watching film and saying, hey, Florida runs this. This is a really good play. We should put it in this week. And, so I think, Todd, we pay attention to those things when we give it to them. But again, the trick plays are a lot about time and execution, when you call it and how you execute it. And so for our guys, I think last year we played Georgia last year. Our staff did, and the first play of the game, I'm like, hey, they're going to take a shot here on the first play of the game and throw it deep. And Todd's like, I know, we got a safety standing in the middle of the field ready to pick the ball off. And unfortunately, both safeties rolled up, and if they both both rolled up, instead of one rolling up, one rolling back, they both rolled up. If they had both messed up the other way and rolled back, we would have had a pick. We had 2 guys standing there instead of none. So, you know them, but then you got to just execute your defense and be in the right place and make plays.
And then we haven't seen TJ Slayton much the past couple of games. Is there anything going on there?
No, just, practice, execution, and, he's got to continue to work and develop to get reps.
DeAndre Baker for Georgia is one of the best corners in the country, really. What kind of challenges does he present for what you guys are trying to do?
Well, they play a lot of man coverage, but our guys, you got to win your one-on-one battles. But we see that in practice every day because we play a lot of man coverage, and we're going against CJ at practice, who's one of the better corners in the country. So our guys get those reps, and when you got the opportunity to make some one-on-one plays, you have to make them because you'll get them. They'll put him out there on an island, and you got to try to, when you take one-on-one shots, you'll win some, you'll lose some, and if hopefully you win more than you lose, and if you do, you're going to be successful on the day.
Hey, Dan.
What was Coach Savage's attitude and mentality for the strength training over the bye week?
Similar to what we've used in the past, where they got a couple of lifts in. In season we don't change a whole lot. In season is very much about maintaining. And you might see slight strength gains, but in season you're not going to get huge gains. So we'll tweak a little bit before the bowl game, but most of it's about trying to just maintain our strength of the gains we made in the offseason.
Coach, in your first year here as an OC, you guys had that loss at Alabama, then at LSU, and kind of Urban was emotional in that press conference, and you guys had the bye week to kind of revamp the offense. What do you remember about that time and setting you guys up for the win you had versus Georgia?
Well, I do think the biggest one is I think we had come from Utah, and we'd had a lot of success with the offense we were running at Utah, and we just kind of, for me as a young coach, probably a little bit of inexperience at the time. You just think, we just take, I'm really smart. I know what I'm doing. We've created this scheme that's awesome that nobody could stop at Utah, so we just plug it in at Florida and it works. And it didn't really fit the personnel that we had all that great. And so one of the things that we did is we went into that bye week and said, okay, we got to make sure we're running stuff that fits the personnel that we have to go execute really well. And so we made some tweaks and we made some changes, especially during the bye week. That bye week was more than about kind of putting in some new schemes that we hadn't had before than kind of, honing up on technique and fundamentals that we don't normally get. And we kind of tweaked the offense around what fit our personnel for what we had here at the time, and how to make it work.
As a play caller, how critical was that week for you, just for the success you went on to have?
Well, it was really good. Part of it's a little bit different because you're calling stuff that you haven't really run a whole lot before. But it worked out, and we came out and got a big win.
Is this going to be one of those games that's really just decided in the trenches?
Yeah, could be decided anywhere. And when you win big games, it's, could be whoever makes more plays down the field, could be decided in the perimeter, breaking tackles, could be a turnover, a red zone game. You're going to have to come out and play well. You play a great team, you got to go follow the plan to win and execute at a high level.
You guys kind of beat LSU by just out-physicaling them up front.
I don't know about that. I think we beat LSU. We made some plays at critical times during the game, and and won the different situational football. I think was that. I'd be hard pressed to say we just out-physicaled them all day long. That was a pretty physical, close matchup, and we just kind of made plays at key times during the game.
Do you have a favorite Florida-Georgia memory from your time here?
08 was pretty cool. You know what? I didn't. I was looking back, and just looking at it was a little while back thinking about it because I was like, okay, I wonder what happened. And you don't always remember all the games. I remember the 05 win was a pretty big win because it was a big win for our program. 08 was a lot of fun. We were up huge and coming down on the field, because I was usually up in the box, so I didn't always get to experience all that fun stuff on the field back then. So to come down on the field for the last 2 minutes of the game was pretty cool.
And the schedule, just the weirdness of it, where you don't leave the state for the rest of the year, rest of the season. How
like that?
I know. How good is that?
Huh? How cold it is in this room right now makes you, right? Like this. We were at Vanderbilt, and I was watching our guys warm up, and you would have thought we were in Green Bay or something right there. Everybody had ski hats on, and so we do better in the state of Florida.
But it is a little on the unique side. It's October still, and you don't have another game outside of the state.
Yeah, it is. But that's kind of how the schedule seems to roll every couple of years for us. And so, every other year it's that way. So, I'd love to be a little bit more balanced maybe with the schedule instead of, I think there's at 2 different times we had 3 straight home games and then, right, we've played since September, we've played 1 game in the Swamp in since mid-September. We're still not back, so I think that's a little bit unique, and I'd love to split up so it's not 3 straight homes twice in the same year, but we'll take it. That's why I love living in Florida. Hopefully we don't have to deal with cold weather games.
Dan, back to that 2005 year, I think you guys spent some long nights at Urban's house revamping the offense. Did
Yeah,
Bob
I
a fullback and a tight end or something? Get you
Yeah,
brought in there?
I know Sunday. We played on Saturday, and on Sunday I got a call like early, probably around lunch. Instead of spending family time, it was come on over to the house. We're going to revamp a whole bunch of things. So we went to the house and spent the rest of the night there. So it really kind of cut away from the family time some, but that was us. We were rebuilding the program, and and we were really learning as coaches. I think you had a bunch of young coaches on the staff at the time, and I think we really got here, learned. You're always learning, you're always getting better, but really learned that. To me, as a coach, that coaching's really about putting your guys in a position to be successful. And utilizing the personnel you have, not just that you have all the answers with your scheme, is how your scheme fits your personnel.
Looking back, getting off the plane chomping to now, no one's even mentioned that you're ranked in the top 10. Is it so incidental it's not worth talking about? I mean, it's fairly significant.
It's
to
pretty
be
cool.
where you are, right?
Yeah, it's good. All right. I don't know. We're as good as your last game, so hopefully we'll be ranked in the top 10 after this week. If we are, then that's a good thing. And, when you win games, the next one becomes bigger. The rankings, to me, I think are fun. They kind of make games maybe, it's great for the promotion and the sales of games and making it, a neat deal that way. More important to me is where you are at the end of the season, because that's – if you look at a lot of times the rankings are, okay, I think this team's here, but you really find out what type of team you are at the end of the year, and you look at where your rankings are at the end of the year.
And what kind of a team are you? I mean, if you're somebody else assessing the Florida Gators, who are the Florida Gators and what kind of team are
I
they?
think they're a team that is really learning how to play hard and play together as a team and finding ways to win. I don't think they're a team you point at and say, wow, boy, they're just this, smothering, dominating defense or this explosive, high-scoring offense. They're a team that plays together as a team, and does what they need to do to win, and we play that way.
Going off that, what has been the biggest change in this team since that Kentucky loss?
Well, I think their understanding of how to prepare for a game and play in different games. That your performance on Saturday is a reflection of how you practice during the week. That just because you have a Gator helmet on doesn't mean that everything's going to work out fine and we'll be okay. If we don't put in the time, if we don't put in the work, in every phase of the game, we can't expect to be successful. I think that's the biggest one that our guys have learned and really bought into, that it's not about one thing or another. It's about everybody on the team, living up to do their part and live up to the standard.
What has Evan McPherson's impact been?
I think very solid. I mean, he's been a very steady guy right from training camp all the way through. He's a guy that has confidence and is always ready, to do his part to help us win. And, I think that confidence builds from the people around him. He looks at the team, and I think it's, how he works, how he prepares, and how he's performed. It's been a guy that the team has a lot of confidence in what he's been able to do.
What's his range? I mean, you haven't
That's
tested
pretty
it
far.
quite yet.
It's pretty far. He can go. I mean, we'll finish in practice. I mean, I've gone all the way to probably 59, 60. So he's got a big leg.
Will you do 59, 60 in a game?
Depends on the situation. So.
You obviously had a commitment from him at Mississippi State, and then got him to flip here. What did you see in him, and what did you know of Florida's kicking situation with Eddie leaving for the NFL that you thought we need to get another one in?
Well, the one when we got, in looking at him, I thought he was a great kicker, and there was at the time there was a need at Mississippi State to sign a kicker. Coming here, after we got here, no, you have a great one. But I knew Evan. One of those. If you've had him in camp, you've had him around. You know his personality. You know his demeanor. You know his attitude. You know the family really well. You spend a lot of time recruiting guys. So you knew a lot of the background. So coming here, knowing the situation, you had a kicker, and I met with Eddie pretty early on when I got here, and felt pretty confident he was going to leave. After my discussions and meetings with him, so that put us in a very urgent situation. And called, Evan said, go offer your scholarship, but the plan is, the coaching staff. You got to come make sure you fit in like the team and like the school, like the university, love the academics, and then the plan is, there's a good chance you're going to have to start as a true freshman, and that's the situation you'd be in here, and. I guess he liked that.
That call came pretty quickly, though.
Oh yeah.
I think he said it was like Monday.
Yeah, it was pretty. It was because you had a feeling that we were going to be in need of a kicker, and when you, I think one of the things is when and that's what recruiting a lot of times comes down to. You spend so much time, you get to know guys. You have it, they're not known. It's not a known commodity, but you feel pretty comfortable with making a decision. Where if you didn't have him, boy, you're almost you're kind of taking chances on any other kicker you would go sign because you don't know as much about him.
I'm sure you did a lot of self-scouting during the off week. So other than kind of, like you said, understanding how the team prepares better, what else did you like about the improvements you made over the year?
But I think I do think we execute much cleaner. I think our guys, to go from practice to games and run both our offense and defense in games, and you've seen us throughout the year just execute everything much cleaner. And with that comes confidence. Call plays or, whether it's offense or defense, you call a play. And from the beginning of the year to now, you see guys a lot more confident in what they're doing out there on the field, which allows you to play faster, allows you to execute better, and it gives you have more opportunities to go make plays because you're pretty confident in what's going on. And, I think that's just something that comes from time. This is the first time any of these guys, they've been running this offense and this defense now for 7 games. And so they're running it more confidently and at a higher level than they did early in the year.
You mentioned learning about what guys do well a little bit more as the weeks have progressed. Michael Pirod had 4 catches, some big catches too against Vanderbilt. Is that an example of that?
Yeah, I think you get to watch guys at practice. He's a pretty versatile back coming out of the backfield, really good hands coming out of the backfield. I think. A lot of times when you look at running backs, and one of the things Greg does a great job, you're always preaching at the running backs, is a lot of times they got recruited because they can run the ball. Right? You're watching high school film. They toss it to a guy, and he can run people over and make you miss and do all these different things. But there's so much more to the position with catching the ball, pass protection, route running, those things. And so I think we're learning about them, and I think Greg does a great job, and those guys are starting to understand that it's not, hey, coach, just toss me the ball and watch me run. It's about every part of the skill of the position.
When he was in high school, too, I think you guys were, your old staff was like the only SEC school to actually offer the kid early on. I don't expect you to kind of remember your evaluation of him, but why did he kind of jump out to you in that regard? Did you think he was an SEC caliber player?
I don't remember. I'm sure we did. I think we used to take a lot of pride on evaluating guys and not paying attention maybe to all the stars or whoever had the most offers early on, but even to this day we still do, is we try to trust our evaluation. What do we see where the guy is now? What can they become in the future? And trust your evaluation. There's and so I think that's probably why we offered him, because we saw what you're seeing now is what we saw back on his high school film.
Last one, Ja'Kai Polite, just how impressive has he been? I know you're talking about him almost every week, and how impressed you with the way Todd's been able to use him and just maximize him?
Well, I think he's done a great job. I think one of the big steps for him moving forward that we constantly talk about is being a 3-down player, not a 1-down player. You know, and I think he's starting to understand that. You see him work, and I think he takes pride in that. Of, you know, I mean, he's got to get bigger and stronger, and the physicality to be an every down player more than, you know, I know he's a dynamic pass rusher. He makes a lot of big plays in a game, but the ability to be an every down player, and that's important for him, for us as a team, and for him in his future. And, you know, you like to see, I mean, he works at it. You know, I mean, it's not something that he shies away from. He works at trying to be physical, and he works at you know, he's trying to get bigger and stronger and put that size on to become an every down player.
I mean, how close is he getting there?
Yeah, I mean, he's coming. You know, I mean, it's hard because we're not putting all the size on in the, you know, I mean, that'd be something this offseason where he'd have the opportunity to really become an every down player where he gets that physicality, that growth, and that strength.
We all know the potential ramifications of this game. Do you allow yourself to think about that, of what it could do for the program, for everything?
Yeah, I mean, winning certainly is going to help in a lot of different ways. You know, I mean, it helps with the goals for this year. I mean, it's always. I mean, in rivalry games, you love winning because it's bragging rights for that year. That's why, you know, that's what makes rivalry games so much fun for the players and you know, and especially for all the fan bases. And so, you know, I mean, I understand that aspect of it. Of being a big game but is one game going to define our season or our program? Probably not, but it's still a lot of fun to go play in it.
Have you surprised yourself that you're at this point, 7 games in?
Yeah, I mean, if you said, "Hey, 6-1, go into the Georgia game, take it or leave it," I might take it. I mean, I would love to be 7-0. I'll be honest with you, but if you threw that out there, you know, I might, right? Like on the game shows, you hit the button, right? I might consider about hitting that button right there, and taking it. So I mean, I'm pleased. Honestly, what I'm most pleased with is how our team has kind of bought into what we're trying to do. You know, and I think honestly, I think that results have helped that buy-in. You know, when you look, you know, because they're acting like a football team. They're playing hard. They're giving great effort. They're seeing how practice translates to games. You know, you don't see finger pointing going on. You know, of boy, you didn't, the offense or the defense or the kicking or this guy or that guy. You see guys believing in a team concept, and you know, so I think the success has helped that. But that's probably what I'm most pleased with.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah. That we know of yet.